couple months ago, I talked a little bit about how the Dark Knight movie might be a little bit overrated. However, when it comes to the film Batman Begins, I think that's actually a little bit underrated. And now, I know a lot of people tend to compare the 1989 Batman film with the 2008 The Dark Knight film because they both have the Joker. But really, the comparison should be with Batman Begins and Batman 1989 because they both show how both these characters got their start, why they became the person that they are in terms of Batman and crime fighting. That made no sense, but you get the picture. So, we have 5 rounds, and since this, we will be doing comparisons with Michael Keaton and Christian Bale's Batman, that round will be saved for last. Now, let's get into the other rounds, shall we? Alright, let's do this. Round number 1, story. The story of the 1989 Batman film, like I said, Batman's been fighting crime for about a month. That's when Jack, a high-ranking mobster, becomes the Joker by falling into a batch of chemicals, starts being the king of crime. Chaos in Gotham, Batman and Joker fight. Now with Batman Begins, we actually see the transformation from Bruce Wayne, the young kid, to Batman and Bruce Wayne, the man, where he witnesses his parents' death. He tries to kill the guy who killed him, but a high-ranking criminal got to him first. And so he travels around the world, becomes trained by the League of Shadows, and goes back to Gotham to stop Gotham from being destroyed by the League of Shadows. Now, Christopher Nolan is famous for trying to make movies as realistic as possible. So, it is a little interesting to see how he tackled on the Batman mythos. And in terms of Batman Begins alone, I think he did a pretty good job. Now, I really love the gothic atmosphere of the 1989 Batman film. But it would have been nice to actually see how, the Michael Keaton's version become Batman. What was his training? What kind of education he has? We get more of that in Batman Begins, which I like. So, round 1 goes to Batman Begins. Go to round 2, villain. Batman 1989, Jack Nicholson Joker. Batman Begins, Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. Now I know the Scarecrow is also a villain in this movie, but he's more of a secondary villain. A villain you fight that helps you get to the bigger villain. So Liam Neeson does a fairly good job. He does a fine job playing Ra's al Ghul, the leader of the League of Shadows. And you really feel that presence and that sort of intimidation with him in a few scenes. But like I said in my last movie Face Off, it's Jack goddamn Nicholson. So obviously I'm giving this round to the 89 film. 1-1 tie. Now let's go on to round 3. Supporting characters. You have Alfred, Vicky Vale, the one reporter guy, kind of Commissioner Gordon, and Bob, the Joker's #1 henchman from 89. For Batman Begins, you have Alfred, played by Michael Caine. You've got Rachel, the childhood friend and love interest of Batman. You actually do have Officer Gordon, although he's not really commissioner in this movie. But he actually is more well-defined, actually has a bigger role in this movie. And I guess we can also throw in Scarecrow in there as well, since we threw in Bob, the Joker's henchman from the 89 film. So, like I said back in the last movie face-off with Batman vs. Batman Returns, the supporting characters of the 89 film, with the exception of Alfred, aren't really that well defined, and they really don't show much characterization or depth. With Batman Begins, we do get that. I mean, Michael Caine does a great job as Alfred, and Rachel is pretty good, and like I said, Gotham Police Officer Gordon actually plays a role in this movie. Not like in the 89 film, he just kind of shows up, does one thing or so. No, this Gordon actually does some stuff. And like I said, Scarecrow is actually kind of an entertaining character. So I'm giving this round to Batman Begins. Move on to round 4. Action and effects. So like I said, the effects and action of the '89 film are more practical effects. And so obviously with Batman Begins, there's a little bit more CGI in the works. But it's actually pretty good. You got some nice fight scenes and such, but one of the problems I've had with the Christian Bale Batman is that there's not really that much in his fighting style. Now I know with Michael Keaton, he doesn't really have that much to move around, so he's always like turning his head like this. But it's always kind of fun to see him fight. Plus the effects of '89 were a little bit more impressive since they're mainly practical. So I'm giving this one actually the '89 film. Alright, 2-2 tie. The final round, this is the one you've all been waiting for. The hero, the Michael Keaton versus the Christian Bale. So, how do we approach this? Let's start by looking at how they portray Bruce Wayne, the millionaire, or is it billionaire? Bruce Wayne, the man. With Michael Keaton, he's a little more of a sophisticated version of Bruce Wayne, the man. And yeah, he does have a little bit of social awkwardness, but given what we know of Bruce Wayne's past, the social awkwardness we see in the film actually fits very well into the story and with his character. And he does have some charm too. I mean, it's Michael Keaton. With Christian Bale, his character decides to portray himself as like a playboy of sorts in public to throw people off the scent that he might be Batman. I'm not really a huge fan of that. So there's that. But when he actually is allowed to play the Bruce Wayne when he's not putting on a show for other people, he is a little bit interesting. And he has his own charm as well. But I don't know, when it comes to them portraying the man, I just feel like the Michael Keaton version is a little bit more realistic, a kind of guy you would expect Bruce Wayne to be in real life. Whereas the Bruce Wayne the Man version of Batman Begins is definitely a little off. Now let's see how they portray Bruce Wayne, the hero. This is the big one. So with Christian Bale, you've got the fighting, a little bit more movable movement. They have the voice, the weird throat voice that everyone makes fun of, and I can't say that it's not unfounded. So, I think we see him do a little bit of detective work in Batman Begins, but it's just not like the kind of detective work you expect from someone that's known as the world's greatest detective. And he does this intimidation and such. And it's certainly entertaining to watch, but something about it just isn't doing it for me. With Michael Keaton, it's he's always fun to watch. He does a little bit of detective work. He ponders, he thinks, he plans. Christian Bale's version does do that, but it's oddly enough sorry. Oddly enough, the '89 film, the one that feels more like a comic book movie, seems a little bit more realistic in terms of the Batman Begins movie, which is supposed to be more like real life. So, I'm going to have to give this round the win to Batman 1989. Now, like I said, I obviously prefer Batman 1989, and I do prefer the Michael Keaton version over the Christian Bale version. But like I said, Batman Begins is a little bit underrated. It actually feels like a real Batman story. The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, which we'll get to some other time, just feels a little bit too convoluted and too grand and epic to feel like an actual Batman film. But with Batman Begins, it actually feels like a real Batman story, and definitely has a lot of cool stuff in it. So check those movies out. Sorry. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Dr. Cinema. See you next time.